Isn't that how it usually is whenever the person with authority shows up and can actually answer the questions that maybe they're asking? And I think that you're right on point there in verse 16. The inflection there is not, what are you discussing with them? That's kind of how I read it. But it's more of a, what are you discussing with them? In other words, I think you're right on point with that. Why are you conversing with them and arguing with them? They're the scribes and teachers. You should be having an influence on them. They don't have any influence on you. So I think that you've hit the nail on the head on that one.
Jesus comes back, he asks the questions, and one of the people from the crowd, apparently was the father relative of this boy, he says, demon possessed, and your disciples could not cast it out. So here's a question, Steve. In two previous occasions in Mark, Jesus had given the disciples the power to cast things out. In Mark 3:15 and in 6:7, when he sent them out 2 by 2, he specifically gave them the power to cast out demons. Yet here, when Jesus comes back, they are unable and they couldn't do it. And we'll learn when we get to the next passage a little bit of a clue on why. But I think there's a lesson here just in their inability. Is Jesus able to cast out these demons? Well, yes, but the disciples couldn't. So we have to ask what's going on here. And I think what's going on is that God is fully capable. God is fully powerful. God is able to do what God has always been able to do, which is to control not only the physical world, but the spirit world. But the power that these disciples had of working through them was weak, not because God was weak, but because they were weak. And I think that's a lesson for us today.